Hey, what's up, guys? This video is brought to you by Fat Merrill Comedy. Be sure to go to Fat Merrill Comedy page on Facebook and look at all the merchandise that we've got for sale. Designed and printed by my good friend Steven Sawpitty over at S&S Inc., another one of our sponsors. Thanks. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Shooting the Shit with Cody. Man, this weekend I had a show in Muskogee, Oklahoma, which is a really, really cool place. There's a lot of things going on in Muskogee, Oklahoma that I didn't know about. Unfortunately, a lot of those things were going on the same weekend that I had a show. So we didn't have the turnout that we wanted for sure, but we did have a lot of fun. We saw some cool stuff. One of the things that was going on this weekend was a Renaissance fair.
Did you see any knights?
No, but I think I saw some peasants. Dude, okay, so this is the way the lady explained it to me at the theater, because this is a big deal for them in Muskogee every year. They have this Renaissance fair, and they go to, man, what did she say? They go to a different realm, okay? And like it's called like Castlevania or Castletonia or...
Castlevania is an old vampire game.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe Castleton. Castleton, that was the name of it. Castleton is the realm that they go to. They dress in character, and she said, and I think it's like a month long. So these people will stay in character and camp at this place for a month straight. Now, here's what's idiotic to me. I get if you want to go back to the old days and you want to live like it's those times and you want to be in character, because here's the deal. Like, me and this lady, we were talking about it, and I was like, man, that sounds like a bunch of idiots. Anybody who, is just around something like that, and now all of a sudden they're, oh, for where art thou? I was feeling like, fuck, like, what are you doing? You look like an idiot. But if we go someplace and there's a Wild West show, oh, I'm all in.
Right.
So I guess it's just, what you're into, which I get that. But what bothers me about it, or what I find ignorant about it, is they go to this deal and they stay there for a month, they camp there, they live the life, which means they don't bathe. So if it's not raining, they're not rinsing off any.
Do they hunt their own food?
That's where it gets idiotic. She's like, oh yeah, so you might wind up at Walmart and standing behind one of these guys in line. And I'm like, so they're trying to live like they're in the medieval times, but if they run low on something, they run down to Walmart?
They don't even change out of character?
No. She said, like, if they leave Castleton, or whatever the realm is that they're in, she said they stay in character the whole time. So even if they come back into town and they got to run to Walmart, or they want to go sit down in a restaurant and eat, or whatever the case may be, she said they stay in character the whole time. Was that a knock on the door?
Yeah.
What's up? That's broken. Just set it off to the side and I'll see if I can fix it. Take that with you, though.
And the dog.
Yeah, the dog's mainly what I meant.
Sasha.
There we go. Thank you. God, that door closing was loud.
Was it?
Yeah.
You can cut that out, can't you?
No, I'm not that good of an editor.
Okay.
Anyway, so they, like I said, I get the wanting to do it and stay in character and all that. That's all fine and good. But now you're sitting at Golden Corral.
Ooh.
You smell horrible.
Yeah.
You're dressed like a weirdo from the 1600s, and you're talking to your waitress asking, "Shall I get some more tea, please?" Like, what are you doing? You're sitting in a modern day restaurant. Like, you've lost all credibility as far as being in character and living in the times. Now you're just a weirdo at Golden Corral.
Have you ever seen a LARPing event?
Jesus. Yes. One of y'all played soccer. Yeah.
Yeah, and we practiced at the park,
Yeah,
and they would be.
you played soccer. Y'all practiced at Liberty Lake in that field.
Yeah.
And the same day of the week that y'all had practice, they had practice. So those guys would show up with their wooden swords and get out of their Honda Civics dressed in full medieval times armor and start whooping the shit out of each other with wooden swords.
And it was entertaining.
My God, it was yes. It was ridiculous. It was like you would look at them and go, "Wow, these people need something better to do with their lives." But then you couldn't stop watching it. Like you had to watch them.
Right. I felt like they were having a good time.
Oh yeah, they're enjoying it.
I mean, I love hitting Holden. I wouldn't mind doing it with a stick.
We need to get. Y'all need to get into LARPing.
No.
No.
Mm-mm. I don't want chainmail armor chilling in my room.
It's crazy. I've seen people, like my whole life, I've seen people who are into that though. I feel like, around town, it's always been I won't say it's a popular thing, but there's always been a group of people that are into it. So I guess it's popular with that one group or whatever. But yeah, I remember, they have the International Festival every year in Lawton, and they used to have a deal. They've moved it now. It's not in the same place it used to be. So used to, it was downtown, and it would be in that. I mean, that area that's behind Crutcher's Western Wear, between there and the library,
Right.
and that whole row, like it went all through there and up the street, and then where it was up by 2nd Street and all that. Anyway, or not 2nd Street, Gore. But anyway, they would have a deal set up. They had like little rings set up, and kids could go in there, and they'd have a guy dressed in his armor, and they'd let some kid whoop on him with a wood sword, and he would have his sword and just try to block. Obviously, he wouldn't hit the kid back, but man, I remember watching kids get in. I got in there one time, and I swung my sword like a baseball bat because I don't know anything about sword fighting. It's never been necessary. I've never been in a situation where I was like, "Halt! Let me grab my battle axe." Yeah, I don't know nothing about So I was swinging for the fences and whacking the shit out of this guy in the leg because that's how tall I was. But I remember sitting, and it was fun and it was entertaining to sit back and watch. I think here's my this is probably stupid. It's one of those things that I think would be a lot of fun and would be really easy to get into. But there's a lot more people out there like me that would be going, "Look at that idiot.
Yeah.
Look at those dummies over there sword fighting in the park." And I don't want people to look at me and say that.
I don't mind if people think I'm dumb.
No?
Hey, to be at school.
We can sign you up for LARPing.
No, that's not something I'm interested in.
Oh.
I'm just saying I don't mind looking dumb.
It's the same thing. Like, again, with the Old West stuff. Like, I'm a huge, Wild West and Westerns and, old cowboy stuff. I'm a huge fan and historian of things like that. But even then, if I see somebody walk into a gas station, they get their cowboy hat on and they get their 6 guns on both sides because it's legal to open carry now. Even though that's way closer to the kind of shit that I'm into, I still look at him and go, "Well, fucking look at Billy the Kid here," because it's still like, who does that? Who walks around like that?
Do you need to go to one of those quick draw contests?
I would love to go to that. Just watch. I don't want to be made a fool of.
No. Do they shoot real bullets?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And some of them shoot wax bullets, but some of them they use live ammunition.
I was watching one of those last night.
Really?
For about 2 hours. I watched the full thing. It was live.
Those guys are crazy good, aren't they?
Yeah, it was like 0.3 seconds,
Yeah,
and they were hitting bullseyes every time.
yeah.
It was insane. They all dressed like they were from the Midwest, or not Midwest.
Not the Midwest.
Not the Midwest.
They all dressed
The
like they
Old
were
West.
from Ohio.
The Old West.
Yeah. That stuff is. I mean, that too. I mean, it's really cool, but I'm not going to dress like that and go down to the park.
Right.
You know, I mean, I put on a nice hat and, you know, a starched button down. That's as Old West as I'm getting for out and about. I'm not slapping on my double holsters like I'm going out at high noon to face the town outlaw. You know, it's just, what the fuck are you doing?
Having a good time. Living their best life.
I mean, and I know it's legal now. You can walk around with a gun on your hip. You know, you can open carry now. Which is another thing that I'm like, why? Why? I'm all for the Second Amendment. Don't get on that. I think if you want to own a gun, you should be able to own a gun.
Right.
If you want to carry a gun, I think that as long as you pass. The main thing to me, I think you should have to pass a psych eval.
Right. You definitely need to be right in the head to hold a
Right.
firearm.
Right, and I think that that's the part of the argument that a lot of people leave out is, oh, Second Amendment, we should all be allowed to. Really? Have you met some people? Do you think everybody should be allowed to carry a gun? Really?
You want people? Who's the one that was eating Chinese boys? The psycho.
What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, we need people like Jeffrey Dahmer.
He's just eating Chinese boys. It's like, I don't know.
People like Jeffrey Dahmer to hold a gun.
Yeah, how much more damage could he have done if he's just strolling up and down the street with a?
Did you hear about the time when this? The only reason I said Chinese boys was because it was a Chinese guy that did it.
hole in his head and walked out and talked to the cops?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jeffrey Dahmer was like, "Oh, he's my retarded cousin." Brought him back inside.
Yeah, and the cop was like, oh, well, watch out for him. You're such a good guy for helping take care of the special.
Insane.
What the fuck? There has to, I don't know where that happened at. I don't know where they lived,
I don't know
where they were from,
I
but
don't know where they're
everybody has to know who that cop is.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's got his pictures on the wall in that police department of dumbass. Like, really? No follow up.
Kid was in his underwear and bleeding.
Yeah. And Asian, and a white guy comes out and says, it's my cousin. Now, that's possible. It's possible to be white and have an Asian cousin. I'm not saying that's not possible. But he's pretty much naked. He's bleeding. Y'all don't match. And you're just going to take his word for it. What an idiot. Like I said, his name, he's got to have his picture on the wall in that police department of, don't be like Jim. Make sure you do follow up quickly. Have you ever seen those instructional videos, like when they're teaching people to do shit? You know, C-spot, run. C-spot, get run over. Moral of the story, look both ways before crossing the street. Kind of the same thing. See Chinese boy. See him bleeding. Read later that he's been eaten. Don't be like Jim. Do follow-up questions. Yes. Oh, God. How messed up is it that we're sitting here laughing about a kid that died? Not just died. He had a hole drilled in his head and then was cut apart and eaten.
Happened long enough back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the time limit from tragedy to when you can start making jokes about it?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
For
I'll give it 5
you,
minutes.
I get that. What do you think it is for the general public?
Probably never. Like a true tragedy, a normal person, like 9/11 is still sensitive to a lot of people, which I get. It was a terrible thing.
Yeah. But then you've got people like Pete Davidson. I mean, he was directly affected by
His dad
9/11.
died in it.
Yeah, his dad died. And he makes probably the most
Yeah,
off-color jokes about it
when he called, I don't know who he called it or who he said it to, but on one of those roasts,
Yeah.
and he's talking to one of the black people on stage with him, he's like, "You're ashier than my dad."
Yeah. So, so yeah. I mean, I think I don't know.
There's always going to be people sensitive about everything.
Oh yeah, even if they had nothing to do with them, people will be. And I heard Bert Kreischer say this, and he was talking about going into a coffee shop, and he and a black kid had a rapport going on where they roasted each other basically while he was standing in line to get a coffee, and the white ladies behind him got offended on behalf of, like, so that's, I mean, it is, people are, well, I mean, sensitivity has always been an issue with people, but it's gotten worse, and then political correctness is ridiculously out of hand. So you've always got, I mean, I don't think there's any argument, probably the greatest single tragedy in the history of the earth is going to be the Holocaust.
Yes.
Millions of people were tortured and killed. Millions.
Had experiments performed on them.
Yeah.
Children taken away.
So as horrific as that is, and I bet you, don't, but I bet you if I asked, you could do 10 Holocaust / Jewish jokes in a row right now. Just boom, boom, boom.
Definitely.
So, and to me, which, I mean, and I also feel that there's a lot of people that feel this way, is dealing with, one of the best ways to deal with any kind of tragedy is through humor, and sometimes that's the only way that people can deal with it. I mean, I would say that that's probably the case with somebody like Pete Davidson.
Right.
That's a horrific thing that happened in his life, and he lost his father, and it was affected the entire country, and it eventually affected the entire world. And it's been jokes from him from the beginning. So that's how he handles that tragedy, and I think that that humor is definitely one of the best ways for people to handle stuff. I definitely, if you're having to deal with something that's that tragic and that close to home, and humor is your only outlet, you probably need to seek some other forms of outlet as well, because humor only lets you get so much of it out.
Right.
You're still holding back. You're still, even if it's something that you say that's about something terrible, and it makes you laugh and makes everybody else laugh and eases the tension about the subject, you still have that spot inside of you where that dark humor is having to come from. So it's not been filled. That's a tough deal. I think that's an interesting subject too, is how people use humor to deal with tragedy and loss, heartache, mental instabilities. Robin Williams, hands down one of the funniest people to ever be on the planet, battled with severe depression. I mean, bad enough that he committed suicide. And everybody knew about it. Everybody knew that Robin Williams had depression issues. Well, I say everybody. I guess the kids that only know him as the genie from Aladdin, they might not know that. But, people who followed him and knew more about his career and about his personal life and stuff, I mean, it was pretty obvious that Robin Williams had some depression problems. And a lot of comedians do. A lot of comedians, and that's what makes them good comedians, is because they can dig down deep into dark places and find humor that people who are healthy never would have thought of or never would have seen. So, I don't know how to segue out of that.
Yeah, it got sad real quick.
I don't know how we went from the Renaissance Fair in Muskogee, Oklahoma, to the depths of darkness where humor comes from and people who are depressed. I don't really know what to do from there. Anyway, we try to keep these pretty short. We were already 15 minutes on this one, so we'll go ahead and cut this one here. Anyway, guys, be sure to like, share, subscribe. I'll be posting this, sharing it to the Facebook pages. Make sure you go to Fat Merrill Comedy on the Facebook, and like and share that page as well. Pay attention to that page for upcoming events. We have definitely added a few more shows to our calendar, so you want to make sure that you keep up with us on there, and hopefully we'll be able to make it to a theater or venue close to you, and you can come out and see us. We really look forward to meeting all of you. We appreciate all the support that we've gotten so far. Thanks a bunch, guys. For me and Cody, this has been Shooting the Shit with Cody.